We recently did a client project in San Francisco, and fortunately for us, the project was being filmed near the Golden Gate Bridge. And we had a few moments of downtime where we were able to kind of take a break from the working and go have some fun doing some more work. But this is kind of the extracurricular, not needed for anything, but it's always good to just, be practicing additional things, whether it's time lapsing or taking photos or whatnot. So that's what we did. We thought we'd take the opportunity to go over to Golden Gate Bridge, and we did one set at nighttime where we went up to, there's kind of a overlook or scenic view area right on the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge where you can drive up, and it's beautiful, picturesque. I mean, there's tons of photos that have been taken from that vantage point over the years, but it was our first time ever being there, so we figured we'd capture some stuff. And it was at nighttime, and it was freezing cold. Now we're from Arizona, so freezing cold isn't quite what most people would think. But I don't know what the actual temperature was, but there was a lot of wind, and it was rather chilly. So we went and bought jackets prior to going up there at Old Navy. We went and got some jackets so we could at least stay a little bit warm. But that was a lot of fun, just setting up some time lapses. Nothing elaborate, no motion controlled anything. It was just a pretty lightweight setup. And again, this was just for fun. And because of the cloud cover and just the atmosphere that night, it ended up turning out really cool. I really like the shots we were able to get. David, who I was with, he was doing just photography stuff, doing some panoramas and some long exposure stuff that he's putting together, and I was doing most of the time lapse. And it was fun. It's one of those things that I would encourage anyone to do. Is if you're in this industry, you have to do this kind of stuff for fun too. Like there's a value to doing client work, that you're always striving for that excellence, that perfection that I've talked about in some other videos of making it the best of the best. But you also need room to experiment and be creative and try things and do things, and have that room to screw up and mess up. Because if you're not doing that outside of client projects, you're going to make those mistakes and screw up on the client stuff. And you can't do that. That's just not an option. So getting out there, doing stuff for fun, taking opportunities like that where, if you're traveling or you're in a place that is unique or new, or maybe it's just your own backyard that you see every day, there's still something special about that space that you can use to your advantage. I mean, everyone lives in a different area, and the stuff that you see is not the stuff that I see, and the stuff that I see is not what you see. So taking the time to go out and capture that, whether it's video or photo or audio recordings or whatever it is, I just really encourage people to do that, because not only does it expand your skill set and just your expertise with the gear you use and your processes in terms of setting it up and capturing what you're trying to capture, but it also just, usually, if you enjoy it, it's fun. I don't know how many people actually enjoy sitting around waiting for a time lapse to click away, but there's something wholesome and relaxing about it, because usually I'm out in nature or some kind of beautiful imagery of some kind where I can set the camera up, let it take its photos, and just kind of, while it's doing its thing, I can just kind of sit and relax and enjoy the space where I'm at. So that's what we did the first night. Was we went out and did a Golden Gate Bridge time lapse. The next day, we actually walked down to the waterfront, so it's kind of a lower angle, lower perspective of the bridge. Same Golden Gate Bridge. Nothing changed about that, but our perspective changed. Because we got a little downtime, figured it was a good opportunity for us to walk down to the waterfront to get some extra footage of the ocean, the Golden Gate Bridge, whatever that might be. And we were able to capture a few other things. Again, David was doing the photography stuff, and I was doing a time lapse. And it's just cool, it's a fun place to be. It's iconic imagery. Sure, it's been captured a million times, but not by me and not by David. And so we're like, let's go do this. So we've got our time lapse clicking away over there. It's really nice having a camera with a built-in time lapse function, so you don't need to worry about having an intervalometer with you. You can just set it up and start shooting away. And the nice thing about the GH4 is that it actually builds the time lapse right inside the camera. So if you don't want to do all the raw post-processing, you don't have to if you don't want to, and you can actually preview the video clip right on the camera. I really like that feature because it makes it, in the field, that you got what you came to get. So we'll see how this one turns out. I think it should be pretty good. So David's back there getting everything set up. We're going to do some long exposures at the Golden Gate Bridge, but because it's so bright out in daylight, we need ND filters. You have to have ND filters if you want to do any kind of long exposure, because even shooting at an f-stop of like 22, let's say, you're going to need NDs to make sure you can drag that shutter really long and get the really cool motion blur, especially from the waves and some of the movement in the cars and whatnot. There's not a lot we can do with the footage probably, because I'm sure there are copyright restrictions on the Golden Gate Bridge, so it's not like we can sell this as stock footage probably. I could try and look into it, but it's more just for the personal fun of making it and being able to capture this stuff and taking the time to kind of break away and do something fun, even though that it's still related to the industry. I mean, there's time I love going to the movies, I love playing video games and just hanging out with friends, but I also like doing work that's working for fun for myself. It's a good time. And if you get those opportunities, rather than many times when you're working a day, client project or whatever it might be, you're on a film set, if you're on a film set, you probably don't have time to break away and do anything like this. But if you're in an area and you've been working all day, it can be really tempting to kind of just sit back, go to the hotel room, watch TV, watch Netflix on your iPad, whatever it is. But really just push yourself to go out and do something that is going to be that kind of work category type stuff. And it can be challenging. And there's days where I fail, I crash, I just watch TV, veg out, do my thing. I'm lazy, but that's ultimately the problem, right? It's laziness. You never want to fall into a pattern of laziness, because your craft will suffer. Every day that you're not shooting, that you're not out there, that's time. Those are opportunities where you could be. And no one is perfect. No one is at their peak. Even when you think you're like, I'm good, I've got this down, I know what's up, you're not there. No one ever is. No one is ever at that point where they're perfect. You can always get better. You can always improve. You can always try new and different things and expand your capabilities and your skill set as a professional. So I can't stress it enough how important it is just to get out there, have some fun, but still be working. There's time for a break, but I think in our modern society, we've gotten a little bit complacent with too much relaxation and too many breaks where, put your mind to work, put your body to work, go do something. It's usually worth it in the end.